If your body suddenly went completely numb, eyes open, ears alert, but you can't move even a single finger, how would that feel? Now imagine something even more terrifying. Right at that moment, someone walks past you carrying a flashlight, but they can't see you at all, as if you exist in this world and don't exist, both at the same time. And when you finally woke up, you found out that the amount of time you remember is far, far less than the time that was actually lost somewhere. Today's story is about exactly a person like that. Someone who, even 4 years later, still doesn't know what really happened during those lost 2.5 hours. Outside, it was bitterly cold. The clock showed almost 7 in the evening when Aaron walked out of a local grocery store at Government Camp, a small mountain town in Oregon. The icy wind of the Pacific Northwest cut straight through his jacket and into his bones. He had 2 heavy grocery bags in his hands. The main road home had almost come to a stop because of snowfall and thick fog. A few cars were creeping forward, and the rest were just honking their horns. To save time, Aaron decided to walk along a quiet stretch of Lolo Pass Road, which cuts through Mount Hood National Forest. In winter, locals usually avoided this road at night, but Aaron had already used this shortcut 3 or 4 times before, so that day, he didn't think much of it either. He had no idea that this one decision would turn the next 4 years of his life into an unresolved nightmare. The road was unnaturally silent. The tall pine trees all around had almost disappeared into the thick fog, and even the moonlight couldn't reach down through the gaps in the leaves. After walking about 2 kilometers, when Aaron reached the middle of the forest, the air around him suddenly seemed to change. It had already been cold before, but now there was a strange pressure in the air. Such a stillness fell over everything that he could even hear the sound of his own breathing. At first, Aaron thought it was probably just his mind playing tricks on him because he was tired. Right at that moment, the sharp sound of flapping wings came from above his head. Before he could understand what was happening, an unusually large bat cut through the darkness and came right up in front of his face. Its wingspan seemed much bigger than that of a normal bat. Aaron stepped back in fear. The strange thing was, the bat never once tried to bite or scratch him. Instead, it kept circling back in front of his face with its wings spread out as if it were blocking his way forward. Aaron felt like the creature wasn't trying to scare him. It seemed desperate to warn him about some kind of danger ahead. Frightened, Aaron gripped the 2 bags tightly and quickened his steps. But after just a few steps, an unfamiliar numbness began to creep into his body, first in his toes, then in his knees, then slowly through his whole body. Within a few seconds, he became completely still. His hands and feet wouldn't move, and no sound would come out of his throat, and yet his mind was fully awake. He could see everything, hear everything, but he no longer had any control over his own body. It was as if someone had cut the connection between his brain and his body. Right at that moment, a strange sound came from the direction of Mirror Lake, which was off to his right. In winter, the area around the lake stayed almost completely empty. The sound wasn't from any animal, and it wasn't human either. It was like something heavy being dragged across ice-cold water. The closer the sound got, the harder Aaron's heart pounded. Looking from the corner of his eye, he saw a human-like shape slowly becoming clearer inside the fog. It was hard to tell exactly how tall it was, but it seemed quite a bit taller than a normal person. It had no clear face, just a faint, pale white glow, like fog covering its whole body. The strangest thing of all was that the shape wasn't walking. Without taking a single step, it floated forward across the ground, straight toward Aaron. At that moment, Aaron felt like something even more terrifying than death was coming toward him. He tried to scream with everything he had, but no sound came out of his throat, and his breath felt stuck in his chest. Right at that moment, The sound of a car engine came from far away. Within a few seconds, an old Ford pickup truck came slowly down Lolo Pass Road. It was being driven by Mark, a familiar resident of Government Camp. For one moment, hope rose up in Aaron's mind. He tried desperately to wave his hand, but his body still wouldn't move even an inch. The truck's headlights shone directly onto his body, but strangely, it felt like the light passed straight through him without ever touching him. Mark rolled down his window and looked at both sides of the road. For a few seconds, his eyes rested exactly on the spot where Aaron stood, but his face didn't change even the slightest bit, as if there was no one there at all. The truck slowly moved on and disappeared into the darkness. A few minutes after Mark left, two more people walked down the same road, one of them carrying a flashlight. The light swept over Aaron's body several times, but neither of them could see him. At that moment, it felt to Aaron as if he were still standing in this world and at the same time trapped in some other invisible layer, able to see everything around him, but with no one in this world able to see or hear him. Meanwhile, the white shape kept moving forward steadily, without any hurry at all, as if every single moment had been deliberately slowed down. The closer it came, the colder the air around him grew. Even the white breath coming out of his mouth seemed to freeze in midair. When the shape was only a few feet away, Aaron realized that where a face should have been, there was only an empty space, like thick white fog. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. And yet, somehow, it felt like the thing was staring straight at him. Right at that moment, a familiar voice came from far away. "Aaron!" The voice belonged to his cousin, Daniel. Aaron realized that Daniel had come down this very road while searching for him. A few seconds later, the light of a flashlight appeared, cutting through the fog. Daniel kept calling his name over and over, but Aaron couldn't answer him at all. He could only stare back, helpless. Daniel walked forward and suddenly stopped, as if he had just seen Aaron for the first time. He quickly came closer and placed a hand on his shoulder, and the instant he did, everything changed, as if some invisible glass all around them had shattered into 1,000 pieces. In an instant, feeling rushed back into his body. His knees gave out, and Aaron fell to the ground. As soon as he took his first full breath, he screamed at the top of his lungs. Right before he lost consciousness, in the light of the flashlight, he looked one last time toward Mirror Lake. The huge white shape standing there in the fog was slowly fading away. Within a few seconds, there was nothing there at all, just fog and a silent forest. Then, everything went dark. When Aaron woke up, he found himself in a hospital bed at Mount Hood Medical Center. His mother and his cousin Daniel were sitting beside him. His head felt extremely heavy, and every muscle in his body felt strangely weak. The doctors told him that when he was found, his body temperature was much lower than normal, and his blood pressure had dropped to a dangerous level. At first, they suspected hypothermia, but even after about an hour of treatment, they couldn't understand how his condition had gotten so bad in such a short time. By Aaron's own count, the whole event had lasted 20 to 25 minutes at most. In a weak voice, he asked Daniel, "If you hadn't come at the right time, that thing had gotten really close to me. It's only been about half an hour, right?" Daniel and Aaron's mother looked at each other. Both their faces showed a hidden trace of fear. After staying silent for a few seconds, Daniel said slowly, "Aaron, when you left the store, it was exactly 7 in the evening. When you didn't come home, we first thought you'd gotten stuck in the snow. We tried calling your phone, but it was turned off. Around 8:30 at night, a few of us went out to look for you. We finally found you unconscious beside Lolo Pass Road. A little after 10 at night." Aaron stayed silent for a while. Then he said, "That's impossible. I was only there for about half an hour." Daniel shook his head. "No, Aaron. We searched for you for almost 3 hours. Hearing those words, Aaron suddenly felt a cold chill spread through his chest. 3 hours? And yet, He only remembered 20 to 25 minutes of it. So where had the remaining 2.5 hours gone? What had happened during that time? After being released from the hospital, Aaron tried many times to remember that night. Every time he closed his eyes, his memory got stuck in the same place. The bat flapping its wings in front of him, then his body going numb, then the white shape coming closer. After that, he had no memory at all of the next 2.5 hours. As if someone had erased a piece of his life. Over the next few months, Aaron went back to that place a few times. During the daytime, sometimes with friends, he searched extensively around Mirror Lake, at the spot where he remembered standing. He couldn't find any unusual signs. He talked to a couple of locals, and all they said was this: it was best to avoid that quiet stretch of road late at night in winter, because for many years, quite a few people had claimed to see strange things there, but no official records or reliable explanations for any of it had ever been found. 4 years have passed since that night. Aaron left Oregon long ago and moved into a small apartment in downtown Seattle, Washington. A new city, a new job, a new life. But that night never let go of him. The doctors mentioned hypothermia, severe stress, induced hallucination, or dissociative episode as possible causes. But none of these explanations could account for the missing 2.5 hours. Even today, on winter nights, when thick fog settles outside his window, Aaron finds himself pulling back the curtain and staring outside without even realizing it. And that's when he remembers that unusually large bat. Even 4 years later, he still believes the creature hadn't come to attack him. Instead, it had kept blocking his path again and again to turn him back from some unknown danger waiting ahead. It had been a silent warning, and those lost 2.5 hours, are they really gone forever? Or are they trapped in some dark chamber of Aaron's subconscious, a place that no human being has the power to reach? Even today, Aaron is still searching for the answer to this question. Even today, on every silent, fog-covered winter night. Some people say the body has its own memory, separate from the mind, and that maybe Aaron's body remembers all 3 hours, even if his mind never will. Maybe that's the cruelest part of it. Not the fog, not the cold, not even the thing by the lake, but knowing that somewhere inside you, a version of that night is still playing on a loop you can never watch. I'm Alex Vane, and you've been listening to Unquiet Corners. If a story like this one finds its way into your thoughts long after it ends, consider subscribing for more voices from the quiet places most people choose to walk past. Because the next time headlights pass over you without stopping, how would you ever be sure they saw you at all?